Hello, welcome back to the Evergreen RX. I'm your host, Hayden, licensed mental health therapist, Cancer Moon, and the first to get deep at any party. Today's mini dose is answering the question, why don't I feel deserving of good things? Other ways to phrase this would be like, why can't I let myself feel happy? Why does it feel like every time something good happens, something bad follows it? Why do I self-sabotage myself when good things are on their way? Anything along those lines is what I'm going to be talking about today. So, I'm not going to just leave you with why that happens. I'm also going to tell you a little bit about things you can do to help with it because, man, I feel you. It tugs at my heartstrings. A question like, why don't I feel deserving of good things? A piece of my brain goes, oh my God, yeah, why? Why do we as humans do this to ourselves? Like, why do we take away good things? Why do we make things hard? And it makes me sad. So if you're in this boat, I'm feeling for you. I think like all of us are in this boat to some degree. It can take a lot of work to start to view things differently. But I'm hoping with what I lay out today, it's going to really give you some hope and jumpstart that. Because when I learned a little bit about why this happens from kind of a psychological perspective, I feel like it just totally opened my world and took a little bit of the power from that self-sabotaging part that believes that we aren't deserving of good things. It kind of took a little bit of the wind out of its sails, I'm not going to lie. So I hope the same thing happens for you today. What is this magical concept I'm referring to? Well, it is the upper limit problem. Now, this is a concept term coined by Gay Hendricks. Gay Hendricks has written a lot of books and been on a lot of podcasts. So if you want to be exposed to him, search his name on Spotify. And he coined this term, upper limit problem, to describe this phenomenon of this subconscious capacity or tolerance for good things, for joy, for success, for happiness. This subconscious capacity that we all develop throughout our lifetime, where it's almost like this ceiling that we hit. And once we are approaching or we hit it, we find ways to knock ourselves back down to something that feels more comfortable, because there is this discomfort that develops when we are nearing our upper limit. An example of this would be you hear that you're possibly up for a promotion. Then you start to pick fights with your boss or show up late to your meetings or forget the work that you needed to be doing, needed to have done. So all of these kind of self-sabotaging behaviors are usually unconscious. Like maybe you're forgetting your work and you truly are like, why can't I remember this? Why do I keep messing up and missing my deadlines? It might be really confusing. One explanation for that can be this upper limit problem idea, that something in you is reacting to this idea that you might exceed the level for success that you thought was possible for yourself. Getting this promotion, getting this raise might exceed the level of success that you are comfortable with, that you've learned to be comfortable with or to be able to tolerate. Whatever you thought was previously possible. And how we develop this subconscious belief is, through our life experiences or through what we've witnessed. A big part of developing your upper limit can come from what you've seen your family members or caregivers achieve in their life. Maybe you grew up in a family that had a concept around, how much financial stability was possible. And you heard a lot of rhetoric and conversations around, money and always scraping by, never being able to feel fully comfortable, that disposable income is, just out of the realm of possibility. And this isn't a bad thing. I'm not trying to villainize these narratives that you possibly grew up with and then were instilled in you, because usually they come out of like really legitimate places, right? Like if your parents did grow up just trying to scrounge together what they could to support you. They were doing the best that they can. And that's a struggle that is very hard. And so you probably heard or picked up on the emotional charge behind having to live this way. But if your life is looking different and you want something different, or you're trying and you're working and you're achieving things that were thought to be previously impossible for you or for your family, you don't want to then self-sabotage based off of trying to kind of knock yourself back down to what's comfortable, what you were taught is possible. Other reasons for developing this upper limit problem can be that, when we're children, we're so open-hearted and loving and joyful. It flows naturally. And then we experience pain and we experience disappointment. And we start to associate pain and disappointment with joy and love. You got fantastic feedback as a kid on your science project, and you're so excited, and you're running home, and you run in the door and you say, "Mom, Mom, Mom, like, guess what I heard, and this is what happened." And you're just feeling so wonderful. And your mom ignores you, or she's busy, or she's distracted, and you're disappointed and you're deflated. And you think, ouch, that hurt. And somewhere inside of your brain, it starts saying, don't let yourself get that excited, because it's just going to hurt. Or none of that happens, and you got fantastic feedback on your science project, and you're running home, and you're so excited, and you trip, and you fall, and you scrape your knees. All of these things from whatever source, and we usually have many different sources, start to come in and influence our experience of good. It's not just this pure, open-hearted, joyous, wow, I'm going to feel this way forever, like when we're younger. If anybody's familiar with the movie Inside Out, the emotion balls, the memories that come out when she's younger, they're these pure memories of joy. And then it starts to be bittersweet. There's joy and there's sadness, and there's a mix. And what can result is developing something like the upper limit problem, that then we start to seep in more and more of the negative into joyous moments. Even before anything's happened, joy just doesn't feel as joyful. So basically, we start to distrust the good. We knock ourselves down before someone or something else can. So the upper limit problem is kind of like the theoretical basis behind this behavior. And then in reality, what it's made up of, how it expresses itself, is things like limiting beliefs or negative self-talk, or certain narratives that you develop for yourself, storylines about, what you're going to be able to achieve in your life. Maybe you're super passionate about marine biology and you would love to study it, but in your head you have this narrative that people like you don't study marine biology. They don't do that. So you don't pursue it. That would be an upper limit problem, because while that narrative feels really real and daunting, it is just a narrative. It is just a story you've told yourself, and now it's being expressed in a way that's changing your behavior. This is why we want to start to catch on to these narratives and the self-talk, because where they get really powerful is in our behavior and the choices that we make. And if a story, a set of beliefs that you just made up and had reinforced throughout your life to explain why bad things were happening, if that is limiting you from doing things that you really want to do in your life, then we've given it too much power. So some of this stuff is unconscious and some of this is overt. Next time you're having an inner dialogue about something, start to say it out loud. What does it sound like when you say your self-talk out loud? You want to go for a job and your self-talk is saying things like, who are you to believe that you can do this? Oh my God, they're never going to choose you. Like, you're not nearly smart enough. You're not nearly capable enough. Please. Why do you think you could ever do something like this? So when that's running on in our heads on constant loop, might sneak through the cracks a little more. When we say our self-talk out loud, one, we can notice that it's not based in reality. We can hear how it doesn't even, always make sense, that we're jumping to a lot of conclusions. And we also might feel a little bit more uncomfortable with how mean it can be. So bringing the unconscious, the subconscious to the conscious level, that's the way that we battle this idea of not deserving good. Check in with your body. Maybe, for an example, you're noticing that you're feeling a little bit of excitement for your birthday upcoming. And then almost immediately, a thought comes in that's like, birthdays are always disappointing. They always let me down. It always sucks. And notice, what's your body posture like when you say that out loud? What is your vocal tone? What is your facial expression? How does it feel inside of you? Even using that as an example, I'm like, I don't like that because my birthday is like legitimately coming up. So I'm like, no, I don't like that. That makes me feel bad. And then try out a phrase, even if it's just slightly better. Something like, maybe this year my birthday could be different. Maybe this year it won't be so bad. Oh, okay. I'm seeing some hope is coming in. I'm feeling a little bit better. Maybe not 1,000%. It might be the subtlest shift where your chest feels a little lighter. But you can do that practice, continuing to build slightly better and better phrases. And then you might find that you're saying something more positive to yourself, and you're feeling more positive, and you're feeling more hope. And then you might notice something else wants to smack you down. And you just keep working with that. Because what we're doing is expanding our capacity for good, raising the upper limit, lifting it by being able to feel more and more comfortable with higher levels of joy and success. So even if your mind doesn't believe it yet, your body doesn't lie. The way that we talk to ourselves and how it feels in our body doesn't lie. So what are some other things that you can do? You can notice exceptions to the rule. So maybe your upper limit is lower for certain areas of your life, career or love or friendship, and it might be higher for other areas. Maybe you have an expectation that your health is going to remain good, or that you have a physically capable body and your upper limit is kind of through the roof. What are the stories around certain areas of your life versus others? What are the experiences? What role models did you have? If you had a role model or experiences that were always super positive in terms of friendship, you had parents that had wonderful lifelong friendships around them, you've had experiences of having really wonderful friendships, your upper limit problem might not even be something that you notice too often. When friends show up for you, support you, and are loving, it might be like, this is how it goes. On the flip side, maybe you have experiences like myself. I have experiences of being disappointed and being hurt by friendships, of, having a distrust when something is good, when I have a nice connection with someone. And so my upper limit is getting triggered more often when I pursue really loving and healthy friendships. So I have to work with that and say, okay, maybe I'm wanting to knock myself back down because I'm hitting that threshold a little bit easier here than in certain other areas of my life. And then you can do things that help reinforce these new beliefs that you want to instill in yourself. You can set positive affirmations around, like literally write them on Post-it notes and post them around. I, right now, am staring at a Post-it note on my desk that literally just says upper limit problem. Because when I learned it, I was like, wow, this is extremely helpful. And I want to have this reminder on my desk when I am starting to knock myself down a couple pegs. Remember, this is the upper limit. And I can choose a new belief. I can tolerate this initial discomfort to the good, to having things work, to feeling joy in my life. You can bring awareness to situations in which you're most likely to self-sabotage, and you can have an accountability partner if you want. So if you know that career is an area where you have some really strong beliefs around what you're able to achieve, then set reminders for yourself about that, or have a friend that, is going to catch you when you're limiting yourself in that area. They're going to lovingly and gently remind you, hey, might be an upper limit problem here. I don't know. Let's see. Let's look at this. Where is this behavior coming from? And as I was saying earlier, let's intentionally expand our capacity for good. Maybe there's something that you normally would think of as an indulgence or a treat that you have to earn. You have to do something to be deserving of it. For example, I really like to go get a little matcha at a cute coffee shop, but sometimes there's this little voice in my head that's like, oh, you can only do it when you had a hard day, or you have an exceptionally high amount of work that you get done. So something that could challenge me is to go get a matcha on a day where I feel like I had light or no work, where I didn't even get done the things that I wanted to, and say, you know what? I still am deserving of this matcha. I'm still deserving of this kind act for myself, and I can enjoy it just as much. I can still deserve it even on days where I wasn't like at the top of my game or my performance. Because at the end of the day, we are worthy of good things. We are deserving just as we are. Change nothing about yourself or your life in this moment, and you are deserving of good things. And if that feels like a radical belief to you, then maybe take some time after this podcast, do a little bit of journaling, or go on a walk and ponder some of this, the concept of this upper limit problem, and maybe see what you find. So, as always, questions, comments, thoughts that come up, I would love to hear, especially with this one. This is a concept that's really important to me. I think really changed my life in some ways when I learned it. So I'm happy to share it with you. And you can always look up more of Gay Hendricks' work to give credit where credit is due. He is a really smart guy and has some really amazing books out there. So yeah, let me know what you think. Please reach out. Please keep the conversation going. I'm begging you. I want to talk about this stuff. I have a podcast to create a community and to talk about all of this with you guys. All right, till next time, take care of yourself. Bye.